Hello, we're here on a nice bright winter afternoon. The ground has pretty much thawed out. A couple of frozen spots over in the shade, but good enough to work with these young horses. So I'm here with Bunny. She's a 7-month-old yearling now, officially, because the year has turned, and a halter and a great big stick. And those are the tools I'm going to use to introduce the backup to her. She is leading real well. We've done some videos of her, being steered around on a lunge line, and she's leading just fine. I have not introduced the backup. Used to do it a lot more quickly, a lot earlier in the process. But what I've found is that when you do it too soon, they kind of default to that. They found some relief in backing up, and when you ask them to go forward or steer, they'll kind of use it as a defense. So I've worked on the forward up to now, but it's time to start backing her, because in the next week or so I want to start teaching her how to go on the trailer. And backing off should be easy if they know how to back up. So other than incidental backing, if I have to move her, she'll sort of stumble back. She really hasn't backed up. So I'm going to take you through my basic process, or at least the beginning of it, because I have no illusion about getting a finished product today. What I'd like to do is just ask her if she can back up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently ask her to back up, and she won't. I'm not even going to mess with that much, but then I'm going to tap that. See how she went back? That's a very good sign. It was a startle, but she startled in the right direction. She sort of read what I had in mind and figured that was the way out, and that's real encouraging. She is a very quiet filly, but she's surprisingly responsive. So I'm going to tap. I'm going to show her this stick. Just move it, and I'm going to tap that line. Now, she could go anywhere. She could go forward, backward, left or right, up in the air, all of those things. But if she just happens to go back, that's a very good answer. So I'm going to move her off the spot. The one thing I don't want to do is get her frightened. That's all too easy to do with these horses that haven't been overly desensitized. I don't want them desensitized, but you have to realize you're dealing with some native horse sensitivity. So I'm going to say, can you back up? And she's actually given it some thought. There. That was a little more composed, maybe not as dramatic, but she's getting the picture. So I'm going to say, can you back up? I'm going to lean my body forward. Can you back up? And I just sort of accelerate that and get a couple of steps. Notice I'm rubbing her with the stick in between times. Just something for her to relax with rather than getting scared of it. You don't need to use a stick. You can use your halter rope. You can use a dressage whip, one of the stockyard whips. I sort of like these stiff sticks. Also, the one thing I've found, if you use a halter rope or if you get up too close and the horse jumps forward or strikes in surprise, you're in a bad position. This lets me be a little further away and maybe do things a little softer. See, I waited for her to lick and chew a little. I'm going to let her digest that thought. Because if she wants to relax that much, I'm not going to interrupt her right away. I'm going to pick up and I'm going to say, can you go back? Can you go back? Well, okay. Now, what I've learned there is that I'm real glad that I started with the least amount of pressure. Because if you start more aggressively, then that becomes the amount of pressure that they require. So I give them the chance to go back off minimal pressure. And if that isn't effective, then I add to it. And I say, no hard feelings, right? Yeah. And this filly tends to be a little tight-lipped, so I'm going to see if she'll move her mouth around a little bit to show me that all's well. And she'll hang on to that for a minute. She's not as quiet as she looks. But she's thinking about options now, about moving her feet. She thought about going backwards there. She's moving her lips. That's good. Now I'm just going to pick this up, step up, step up, step up. Okay, no stick. Not much move, but no stick. Okay, I'm going to move her a little. And I like to move them every couple of repetitions just to sort of freshen things up a little bit. So I'm going to put a little bit of forward body language on her. And she was actually, for the first time, disregarded me. And that's the downside to these horses that are pretty confident. She's thinking, well, this isn't anything I've got to try very hard at. The degree of difficulty is low, but I want the level of effort to be there. Can you back up? Can you back up? Heck, you can do better. Now, next time, if she's as sluggish as that, I'm probably going to pop the rope. See, because she was set up to be a little lazy. So this filly's trying to say, what's the least I can do? And I'm saying, really, I want you to be asking me, what's the most I can do? Yeah. Now, I don't want her scared, but I want to be able to go. Now, let's make sure we don't have her stuck. There, she's not stuck. That's good, because sometimes they can get pretty rooted when you've been backing them off a spot. Can we back up? Can we? Yeah, go ahead. So the temptation always is to say, this is very simple. We can do so much more. And my default is, well, how much less can we do to make it better for the next time? Now, more so than some people, I tend to go 0 to 60. I figure if they're blowing me off, I don't just play a louder lullaby. I give them a wake-up call. I don't want to be ugly about it, but I want her to know that if she ignores me, there will be consequences. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Ah, you're a good girl. So I'm just about done with this. You see how she's stuck a little? I don't want her to feel like she has to stick. That's one of the negatives to backing them, is they tend to sort of get into that fallback. And I love forward motion. So you just want to convince them that the backup is just redirected forward motion. There. And that's pretty good for a little old baby, first time. I'm going to tell her that there's nothing negative going on here. We're still good friends. And we're going to wish you folks well and come back and see us.